Ms. Fumiha.
Mr. Speaker, sir, in the course of my work as a Member of Parliament, I experienced firsthand the devastating impact of debt collection harassment on residents, their families, and their neighbours. Affected parties live in constant fear that debt collectors may harm them and or their loved ones. Some threat returning home or even picking up the phone for fear that the debt collector is after them. The stress and anxiety arising from debt collection activities have caused some of my residents to contemplate suicide. There were cases where the outstanding debt owed is grossly overstated with no basis. There were also incidents where residents were tricked into borrowing and then subjected to exorbitant interest charges and their repayment refused, and cases where the wrong parties were mistakenly identified and pursued by the debt collector. So, sir, the debt collection bill is therefore timely to improve visibility and oversight of debt collection industry and deter problematic debt collecting behavior. The licensing regime introduced under the bill to ensure that those involved are fit and proper would go some way to hold those involved in debt collection accountable for their debt collection activities. However, it is unclear what specific criteria the police would use to assess applicants as fit and proper. So I would like to ask the Minister to elaborate on the key considerations for approval. Beyond screening for records of previous offences, how will the police evaluate the suitability of applicants to engage in debt collection activities before granting the license? Sir, I would also like to raise a query pertaining to the Code of Practice as indicated under Section 16. The Code of Practice under the bill is intended to cover the conduct, duties, and responsibilities of the licensees. This is a critical component of the bill to ensure clear lines to be drawn on what specific actions would constitute unlawful activities and provide clarity on previously grey areas surrounding conduct of debt collection. So it would be useful to prescribe a clear set of lawful practices. It should contain clear rules of what is and what is not allowable in order to provide debt collectors with a clear framework within which to operate. And I think as well as to educate debtors on their rights. So I would like to ask if such a prescribed list is available and where this sits under the bill. Mr. Speaker, I would also like to request that the Ministry consider incorporating a requirement that all debt collection firms, management and staff undergo an accredited training program covering the rules and regulations around debt collection, including the Code of Practice. The training may also cover relevant rules around Moneylenders Act and Protection from Harassment Act. As part of the licensing program, debt collectors should be required to pass a test on their understanding of the debt collection rules and regulations before being granted the license. This will ensure that all parties involved are not only screened, but they are also adequately trained to understand and uphold the Code of Practice in carrying out their duties as debt collectors. Sir, some countries have put in place schemes to give debtors in problem debt the right to legal protections from their creditors. One such example is the Debt Respite Scheme, or breathing space, in the United Kingdom. Under this scheme, debtors can access legal protection from their creditors and debt collectors for a specific duration of time to seek temporary relief from debt collection activities, including a provision to tend to mental health crisis. Sir, I would like to ask the Minister if such a debt respite scheme may be considered that may apply only to those with exceptional circumstances. This will go some way towards giving struggling debtors breathing space to get their financial and mental health in order. Let me say that again. This will go some way towards giving struggling debtors breathing space to get their financial and mental state in order. Mr. Speaker, sir, let me end by recognizing that debt collection is a legitimate business activity that facilitates the fulfillment of financial obligations. The debt collection bill, when implemented well, has the potential to professionalize debt collection. So all borrowers should recognize that borrowing money is a huge responsibility. They are expected to repay in full and on time according to agreed repayment terms. A loan is a legal obligation, and the creditor has all the right to take the action to recover the debt. It is important that anyone considering a loan should fully understand that their borrowing terms and reasons for doing so. Notwithstanding my request for enhancements, I support the bill.